Hi, I'm Gal Ekstein, General Manager of EMEA and Latin America at AppsFlyer. I'm based here in London in our European headquarters, and I'm here to share a little bit of the changes that have happened around data in our industry. Yes, the expression change is constant is a bit of cliche, but I think 2020 has reminded us all what real change can look like. Our everyday lives have been disrupted, transformed, and basically turned upside down in every imaginable way. And not only our personal lives, our professional lives as well. In the face of all these changes, marketing, which is all about building personal and meaningful connection with consumers, also has to change. For those of you unfamiliar with AppsFlyer, we are the largest mobile measurement and marketing analytics provider globally, with approximately 65% market share. We sit at the very heart of the ecosystem, powering growth for brands and app developers globally. And at present, our focus is helping them to navigate significant change that are occurring. Before we zoom in of what's happening now, let's take a quick look how we got it. The mobile ecosystem sits in the minds of an ever-changing landscape. Over the past 2 decades, mobile technology and consumer behavior have evolved constantly. However, in the last 3 years, we have witnessed the pace of changing accelerating. Most notable is the marked increase of changes around privacy and in the way data is being consumed and shared. Despite these massive changes, mobile is booming. But any business operating in the mobile space must ensure it's fully up to speed with the latest change introduced by Apple and its latest operating system, iOS 14. Specifically, the enforcement of what they call the App Tracking Transparency, or ATT. Now, obviously, the latest change poses challenges for advertisers. The unique deterministic identifier that has been used to measure user acquisition activity and enable retargeting on Apple devices since 2012, known as the ID for advertiser or IDFA, will only be available for a minority of devices going forward. However, it's extremely important that we, as an industry, recognize that the most important player is actually the consumer. And giving consumer greater control over the data is a positive move. For example, prior to iOS 14, consumers didn't even know if an app uses its camera or speaker for measurement. The nature of iOS 14 implementation may not be so popular in the industry, but we must recognize the consumers have the right to transparency and control when it comes to their personal data. So let's take a look at ATT in more details. As of April, every app developer that wishes to collect and share almost any form of personal user information must gain explicit consent from the user. The ATT framework mandates that the language used in the consent form is, as you can see on the screen. 1, it's quite a scary message to present to any consumer, and 2, not generally represent how much data collection works. Specifically, app advertisers might want to measure the ROI of their paid media campaign, and to do so, they would commonly use both cohort and user-level measurement techniques. At best, the industry expects opt-ins to be between 10 to 40%, much lower than cookies on the web. As you can see, anyone operating an app right now has some serious thinking to do. Ensure that they can continue to acquire users cost-effectively and accurately measure their ROI on media spent to optimize in the future. Conscious of time, I'll be focusing on the 3 key areas that, in my opinion, app developers need to get right in order to continue growing their mobile app businesses successfully. Firstly, app marketers must get to know SKAd network forensically. It is a measurement solution that has quickly characteristics unlike any other, and its functionality is complex to say the least. Secondly, app developer can work with mobile measurement partners such as AppsFlyer to demystify SKAd network and add additional measurement capabilities. Finally, and most importantly, of course, anyone digital advertiser must double down on building trust with their customer base. Giving comfort to end users that whatever data they choose to share will be treated as carefully and methodically as if it was your own company's confidential intellectual property. So let's take a look first at SK Network. The tool proposed by Apple for campaign measurement significantly limits the data collected for users that have not opted in to share their IDFA. It provides a very basic campaign-level measurement tool, but enforces some significant complexity on advertisers if they wish to make the most of the data they do get. We shouldn't forget SK Network's big advantage. It covers all users without requiring ATT, as the data is anonymous. With this in mind, it is essential that app developers understand how conversion value work. A binary measurement system used to feedback on in-app events are taken by a user on an anonymous basis, in order to give a very primary indication of campaign performance. Secondly, developers need to work on how and when they use the 24-hour timer window that SK Network enforces. Developers are only given a very short window in which to measure user value. And finally, developers that want to continue measuring campaign at user level must have a strategy of priming user to consent to giving permission when they see the ATT prompt. Interstitial or extended onboarding journeys that take users through a web landing pages where the value proposition of giving consent can be used to increase the opt-in rates. Secondly, and thankfully for app developers, given how complex and limited SK Network is, there are complementary solutions that can be used to automate management of SK Network and to provide additional functionality on top. AppsFlyer is the only mobile measurement partner to provide unified attribution truly suitable for this new age of privacy-centric marketing. We are augmenting SK Network in multiple ways by providing not only privacy-centric attribution with SK Network SDK management, but also an aggregate attribution solution that leverages other data sources and tools to enable more granular measurement, as well as web-to-app measurement and a robust deep linking capabilities. We in AppsFlyer have multiple solutions as the advantages of one overcomes the disadvantages of the other. Finally, there has never been more important time for any business that conducts digital advertising while optimizing it through data collection to be taking a number of actions to ensure that customers trust their brand and the entire industry with their data. This includes conducting a thorough audit of your data best practices and making sure that you have no backdoors where data might be leaked or compromised. Secondly, invest in brand advertising, whether digital or offline. The more your brand is known and trusted, the more likely users are to share data with you willingly in a trusting value exchange. And finally, leverage priming techniques. Test and evolve your value proposition messaging before presenting users with the ATT consent form. By explaining to them how you will and won't use their data, you can gain their trust and increase the likelihood for them opting in. To wrap up briefly, I want to remind you all that while we are undoubtedly going through a period of change, this is the most innovative industry of the world. At AppsFlyer, we don't believe that we're tracking users. We are helping advertisers to acquire users cost-effectively by providing them with a suite of measurement and analytic tools, and we adhere to the highest standards of data security and user privacy in the industry. But the entire ecosystem, including us, is adopting, remaining agile, and innovating to help advertisers continue to measure their ROI accurately, acquire users cost-effectively, and providing their services at the right price to the end user. Privacy and security were part of AppsFlyer core pillars from its very first days. We are proud to be operating at the heart of an ecosystem that is prioritizing the end user's right to privacy. Smart marketeers will identify the unique opportunity that they can get here, the ones that will adopt quickly and have the right tools with measurement in place might actually find their qualitative users easily and cheaper than before. That's all for today. I hope I've been able to contextualize a little bit the last changes that happened in the industry. We are confident in the industry's capabilities of innovation and in our capabilities in AppsFlyer to achieve both accuracy together with privacy, and that's the holy grail of the entire solution. Thank you for your time.